Hello and welcome to Encore, the arts and culture show here on France 24. Coming up, my guest today weaves music and movement, dialogue with dance, photography and philosophy, myth and imagery. Filmmaker and choreographer Wim van de Kevus joins me on set to talk about his love for mixing mediums. Also on this theatrical edition of Encore, we take a look at the play borrowing cinematic conventions. Anew is the French adaptation of the controversial post-9/11 film Strip Search. But first, let's go meet today's guest. Wim, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us here on France 24. Your wonderfully named production, Booty Looting, has just premiered here in Paris. I was lucky enough to go along to it. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. It's almost like a play. There's a narrator, there's a musician playing live, and a photographer taking photos which are projected in real time. There's a bit of a hint in the title, I suppose, as to what you could describe the performance as being about. Booty looting means something that's been stolen from, or means stealing something that's already been stolen. Can you explain a bit further?
Yeah, it's. I like sometimes, I'm not in this sense a classical theater maker where we start from a play, but I rather like to start with an idea, that to say from I want to make a piece with a photographer, and then to make a piece of photography is in any case a stealer. So I'm myself a photographer. So arts is a lot about stealing what has been stolen. Now I made 28 pieces now, and in the beginning I hated references. I really did. I want to reinvent everything, to reinvent my own mythology.
Right.
In fact,
This is so full of reference, though.
and this piece is about stealing. So we have a kind of narrator who makes a fictional reconstruction of somebody who dies, which is Birgit Walter, and then he puts, in fact, he goes back to her and they reconstruct with pictures her past, where she was an actress, where she was an anthropologue, where she was a art collector. And so all these things is a lot very fictional, while it's very mixed with just reality.
All right, I want to talk about that in just a second, but before we go any further, let's give our audience a taster now of the performance. This is an excerpt of Booty Looting.
Your ability to hold audiences' attention and to move people is legendary. You can play anything except a mother. That's what he said, isn't it? Birgit Walter, yes, I would cast her in any role, but probably not a mother.
You were talking about before the idea of myth and reality. This performance really explores the idea of memory and what is true, what is not. As you said, there's loads of cultural references in there. Why did you want to explore these notions?
I think the audience gets in one kind of way a role of an interpreter, and also I like pieces where you don't just get something, the story is there for you, but where in fact the story is built how the public constructs it, and how in fact it's a whole thing of constructing, and then the second part is deconstruction. It's like a lot of myths or lies in art. An artist needs a myth, you know, if not you can't exist. But a lot is the media also. And pictures, it's almost as if you look into the studio and you see larger than the frame. You see the photographer, the results, and it's a whole story he tells, but it's just background to a hold behind, and just he frames it just inside, and we see much larger. So in this way you have a kind of feeling as if you can see more than what you normally get presented. And I like this opening the media to cut the corners off, and that you feel like media have to adapt each other. Dance is not just dance. There is not only a front or a back. Some things happen behind the panel, but you see the result on screen because it's live photography.
You really do like to mix a lot of different mediums. I mean, in this performance in particular, like I say, there's music, there's photography, there's dance. Why do you think or why do you like to put these different things together?
I think, first of all, it's because I'm not trained as a dancer only. I am a photographer, a filmmaker, and I make performances where I use dance in the performance as a tool who carries something theatrical. And I'm a storyteller. And in this way, I like to study the media by questioning them. I think theater also, it has too much entertaining function just while you see how you can keep people attentive 1 hour 50. And I think it's really by mentally waking them up sometimes. And here we have really the moment also where we play a lot with the audience, where the audience get photographed. The audience has the choice to say, do you want to stay, yes or no? You get 15 seconds.
Much part of it.
And if you don't want, you can go now. It's a kind of funny interaction, but I like now to make pieces a lot where the medium itself get questioned, and also that people can ask, that they feel important when they are there. That is not just a kind of
They almost become another medium.
Yeah, Plato already said it. Plato had a very negative view on theater because it was very passive. And in fact, I think the spectator could get, although it is only intellectual, but it is in any case very artificial to have 900 people who look to 7 people.
Okay. It's very interesting indeed. We're going to stay with us and we're going to have a look at a report now about a play that also likes to borrow different mediums and forms. I'm interested to know what you think of this, Wim. Anew is the French adaptation of a controversial film about the state detention of terror suspects and the degrading conditions they face. François Incat's Luke Brown went to meet with both the play's director, Marc Saez, and the original screenwriter for the film, Tom Fontana. He told him why they were both attracted to this story.
A spotlight pointed at the dark side of the stars and stripes at this Paris theatre. Anew recounts 2 parallel stories as 2 unwitting terror suspects are stripped of their dignity. One, an American woman questioned by Chinese interrogators, another of Arabic origins, grilled by the CIA. For the director Marc Saez, the cinematic style is a deliberate choice.
I wanted people who love 24 or Homeland to love this play as much as people who are very used to going to the theatre. I wanted both groups to feel the same emotion.
The play is an adaptation of a controversial film. Directed by Sidney Lumet in 2004 and starring Maggie Gyllenhaal and Glenn Close, Strip Search has since disappeared from circulation. Its screenwriter Tom Fontana insists that apparent censorship was due to political pressure as he highlighted the double standards in the post-9/11 war on terror.
I don't think that's a uniquely American point of view, but it is an American point of view that we will do anything to someone we consider our enemy, and yet if our enemy does it to us, we're shocked by it.
I found it very courageous of Tom and Sidney Lumet to deal with this when they did in 2004. It's like for us, talking about the war in Algeria. To talk about it while it was happening is extremely brave.
It's not Fontana's first brush with literary incarceration. In 1997, he created the acclaimed prison show Oz, an ambitious and unflinching portrait of life in a maximum security jail. It was the first drama series produced by HBO. A decade and a half later, the current glut of high-quality TV series owes a debt to the pioneering Oz and its writer.
So I did feel like I was given an opportunity, and I needed to make the most of it and tell the stories and depict the characters in the best possible way I could, in the most honest way that I could. And in that regard, I think I did open doors. What I'm more impressed about, what came after me, is that none of the shows are like each other or like Oz.
The seat of Holy Mother Church is empty.
Fontana's latest project, Borgia, now entering its 3rd series, chronicling the human ambitions to claim the papal throne. The European co-production charting the Machiavellian power struggles waged by the Borgia family as it bids to control the Catholic Church in the 15th century. A rich vein for a screenwriter who's long detailed the darker side of humanity.
They're the best. The great thing about this period, and it's not just the family Borgia, everybody was bad. Everybody was bad. I mean, it's hilarious what they would do to each other. And if anything, the Borgia are condemned for being extraordinarily evil. But the reality is they were no different than any other family in Italy during this period. Well, I mean, you literally read this stuff and you go, I can't make it up. I can't make it up. I'm like, thank you.
Following their collaboration in the theatre, Mark Sayers will play a role in the third and final season of Borgia. For Fontana, the fascination for timeless human frailties continues. His next project, adapting for the small screen a selection of Shakespeare's tragedies.
Okay, Wim, you're also a filmmaker as well as a choreographer, as I said before. What's next for you? What else have you got in the pipeline?
I'm preparing a feature film, A Galloping Mind, which I'm working on since very long, that I had to postpone last year because of financial reasons, but this year it's going to happen in Hungary and Romania. And it's a whole story about twins who separate when they're born and meet each other 10 years after, with a lot of kids, a lot of ponies, a lot of horses, water, animals, kids, all what you don't do in films. But it's going to be wonderful.
Okay, excellent. Well, we look forward to that. Thank you so much for coming in to talk to us today here on France 24. So we have to leave it, I'm afraid, but thank you to you also for tuning in. Just a reminder, you can catch Wim's show, Booty Looting, here in Paris at the Théâtre de la Ville until the 25th of April. We're going to leave you now with an excerpt from one of his previous performances. This is What the Body Does Not Remember. Enjoy and see you for more culture news soon.